What is up, guys? Welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing this sexy sun-kissed look that I have been doing lately with all the stuff that I just got in the Sephora sale. And this is definitely going to be spoiling the suspense and the surprise probably of future videos, but I can't help myself, guys. The stuff that I got all goes together so well, and it is a little bit of a new kind of look for me, just because I have been in the cool to neutral tones so much over winter and everything, that this is a little bit more honey, tan, warm, sun-kissed for me, and I'm just really excited to share all this stuff with you. These textures are gorgeous. I will stop gushing. I'm gonna move you guys in, and we will put something really, really beautiful on this here face. Let's jump in. I just love when I get my excitement reignited about makeup. A lot of times things kind of start to blur together and we end up in lulls in the seasons and stuff. This just reminds me what it feels like to try new textures, and how it's not even so much that we always need to be innovating in the industry as much as it is that we're always changing in what we want. And makeup styles change, and that's what's fun about it to me. It's not about necessarily solving for makeup. I want to solve for my skincare, which I don't even want to talk about my skin right now. But I feel like we're moving away a little bit from the dewy that we did almost in response to the extremely full coverage thing that was happening on YouTube for so many years. And we were like, no, let's do no makeup and let everything be just really, really soft and creamy and everything. And I feel like now brands are innovating with these textures that if they're powders, they still look creamy on the skin. And if they're creams, they're a little bit more powdery on the skin and a little bit longer wearing, and so we're sort of melding those textures. And we used to always say that it looks bad on camera when you use something really dewy, and that's why people were applying so much makeup in the beginning of YouTube, is because it looked great on camera but it didn't look good in real life. This is a great example. This is what I'm going to be using today. The new Fenty Eavesdrop looks great in person because it is a skin tint and it doesn't make such like a harsh line between, you know, your neck and where you have the complexion product, but it has a soft, velvety kind of finish on the skin that looks amazing on camera, and it's not reflective. And I know that that's like, oh, well, Kackie, you're a YouTuber, only you care about how you look on camera. Not necessarily. Sometimes you want to go to an event, or, you know, you take selfies during the day and stuff. And this is much more conducive to being good looking in all lighting situations. It just absorbs light instead of reflecting it, and I feel like that's the common theme for these products that I'm going to be putting on today. It's kind of a cream hybrid look all together, and I'm just very, very pleased that that seems to be one of the things that's trending in the industry right now, is this nuanced combination of textures. And combining textures, I feel like, is what makes a makeup look compelling. I was watching one of Shelby Wilson's, I guess, older videos, like why your makeup doesn't look good or whatever. And a lot of times it is because sometimes things can look really flat if there aren't the right combination of textures on your skin. And so that's why I tend to default to a glossy lip or something like that, is because a lot of times I will feel like once I get done with all of my coverage and stuff, I want to diversify a little bit of the textures that are on my face. So all that to say, that was the foundation. That was the Fenty Eavesdrop, and that is in the shade 2. And I did buy that before the sale because I wanted to review it for you guys, but I'm pretty sure the rest of it is gonna be all from the sale. So next we have the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. I got this in the shade L2, and I feel absolutely no reservations in saying this is my new favorite concealer. Absolutely. The way that this blends into my skin, first of all, the shade match is great, and they have a very, very large shade range. I should say she has a very large shade range. But the texture of this and the way that it blends into my skin is so satisfying. Like, watch this. Especially on all this texture. I need to learn, I'm learning the hard way, that you're not supposed to pick at KP, Kackie. Started using that AHA stuff, that toner I guess it is, from Ren Skincare. Oh my gosh, it's so effective. And my forehead is just purging. But I need to stop involving myself in its business. But look at that, it's gone. And it looks like I have fresh Botox and I don't, you know, it's like super smooth. That is so wild. Oh, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this. I hate saying that, but this is an absolutely gorgeous texture of concealer. I need to like move this camera down, don't I? I don't know why those kinds of things change in terms of preference. You wouldn't think I would get taller or shorter. My chair doesn't change. Look at how. Not only does that texture just airbrush right into my skin, but it's not matte, but it's not dewy either. It's a really believable skin finish, and I can wear it with or without powder. Even the setting powders that I got in the sale are like that. I think it's really easy to get cynical about the industry, and there's a lot to be cynical about. I don't blame anyone for being cynical about it. And a lot of times we do these anti-hauls because we just need to vocalize the blur and how exhausting it is. But I do appreciate that there are brands out here. Granted, everybody's out to make a buck, so of course they're trying to accommodate what we want, but I do like that they've got their eye on the ball as far as, again, really staying curious about the textures that people like to wear, and also the way that we talk about beauty. The way that, you know, we don't necessarily want to cover everything on our faces, but we want to enhance what we have going on. And the way that we tend to interact with beauty now that we're all at home is that a lot more people are kind of turning to YouTube to see shade ranges and stuff like that. You know, I guess things are reopening now, which is fantastic. But I think that it is super, super important to, you know, it's why I bought a 4K camera, is to be able to share things in the way that they actually work on the skin, and that it behooves companies who are trying to make a buck to make things that look good in person and on camera. They can't get away with just doing one or the other anymore. So that's the texture on my skin with this combination. Before I even powder, I haven't even really wanted to look at any of my other skin tints lately. This has just been so satisfying. Before we powder, I'm actually gonna go in with the Patrick Ta contour because it's a cream contour. You can see I've already been giving this quite a bit of love lately. And I'm gonna apply this before I apply my powder, because with a translucent powder, it will show through. I adore this shade. It's slightly more honey toned. Like I said, I'm kind of going for a honey golden thing, but it very much functions as an effective contour, and it comes in a ton of shades. I love his textures. He really gets it. He gets that combination of cream and powder and how it can make things look really airbrushed. He is the king of a selective glow that makes you look just better than life. But yeah, I can just very mindlessly get carried away with this contour, and I feel like it's incredibly easy to work with. You can just feel the experience that you are buying, you know, from Patrick Thomas. And I think I mentioned this in the initial haul, but like, this is so much bigger than I expected it to be. It's bigger than the blush. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it. It's so pretty. I like it so much. All right, so I am going to powder and then bronze. So I'm going to be using probably the most requested thing in this entire haul, which is this Kosas powder. This is the Cloud Set in Airy. And again, like I said, we are dealing with things that just have a different texture. It's what they're set out to do, is something different, even in a setting powder. Airbrushed is the only word. It really adds a luminosity to the skin that's super believable, and it makes all of the makeup that's underneath it look more blended, which is great. And I'm just tapping that on. It is trying to hard pan on me just a tiny bit, but I'm not too worried about it. I think it's because I'm being pretty aggressive with my complexion product. So yeah, I'm applying a ton of that, and it's still leaving that really, really nice slight reflection on my skin. Smoothed, blurred, but you can still see my freckles. And it looks good in person. I know you can't tell because it's a camera, but it looks fantastic in person. And that is huge to me. So going back into the Patrick Ta, and we're gonna go with this bronzer, which looks in the pan like it's gonna have a little bit of luminosity to it. It kind of looks like it reflects a little bit in the light, but it mostly just adds to the ability for it to spread really evenly on the skin. And I'm using the same brush for all of this. Again, it's kind of mindless because these products do so much for you. They're, you know, again, it's easy to get cynical about the blur of products coming out all the time, but it also means that in order to stand out, you have to really bring your A game in terms of putting out new products, especially a newer brand, because you don't have this like, you know, Bare Minerals, like legacy customer base where you can just rely on their lifetime value. It has to be different for a reason. And this is, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful in a way that you have to see with your eyes and feel when you put it on, because like, look at that. I look so much stinking better. I look healthier, and it is a bronzer shade that works so well with my skin tone. And it's not because it is super, super like cool or neutral or anything, or like I'm putting a contour on my cheeks. It really is because it just kind of dials this shade in for me that looks like how, God help me, I might actually look if I ever actually got a real tan. Patrick Ta just continues to impress me. Now, I'm gonna keep doing that because all of these excite me. And again, they all are just fun to put on. I rounded out my bronzer collection at the Sephora sale. So I'm not gonna be using Kiss of Rose today because it does tend to overwhelm an entire look on me. It's for deep skin tones. It is the deepest of the three. And it's called the Gin Nude Blonzer, Blush and Bronzer, but I think that they are more blushy. They're just more blushy than they are bronzery, but they still have just the most gorgeous texture. And so I'm going to go in first with Kiss of Pink and then with Kiss of Copper. And you know, yes, Sephora wants to draw some distinction about what shade is for what skin tone. I honestly think they all would work on everybody. They're so pretty and they're very pigmented. You know, the shimmer in them does help to spread it out really evenly. And so you don't really feel like you're gonna like stamp it on your face, which is nice. But I mean, I think even that pink, it might not be your favorite thing if you have a really deep skin tone, but like it's gonna show up. It's just, you have to be kind of careful with it because they are all very, very pigmented. They mean it. And certainly if this is too light for you, you can still wear Kiss of Copper. You can wear the medium and the deep tone. This one is actually really, I mean, I feel like it brings this look together because it's the most orange out of all of them. And so it's going to give me that like more of a tan look. So I'm pretty careful with this one, but you'll see it kind of shifts it into like a peach direction that brings a little more meaning to the word blonzer as far as the bronzer part is concerned than the Kiss of Pink. The Kiss of Pink is very much just like a regular blush that has a little bit of a golden undertone to it, just a little bit. But this one is, you know, the copper really looks like a tan. Come on. Look at that. So yeah, that's a powder, of course, but because all the textures that I've put on my skin so far have built-in just, you know, intelligence, technology to try and make them look so blurring on the skin, you know, hourglass who? Hourglass who, I ask you? So that is the super easy, super satisfying, just incredibly packed with loveliness complexion look. Now I want to talk about the eyes because I did pick up 2 of these Smashbox Always On shadows, and I'm going to start, I'm not going to put the blue one on today. We will do it at some point, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to start with Guava, and it is a beautiful rosy pink. Boop, boop. Which, you know, if I'm going to be sharing an everyday look with you guys, you know it's probably going to start with something pink on my eyeballs. And especially in the context of having just tried Violette's cream eyeshadows, this is just so stinking easy. It's so easy. It has the amount of pigment in it that I would have expected. You know, a little goes a long way, but it does eventually stop. And I'm using this just as a primer. And then I'm gonna go in with my Pat McGrath palette on top. Tell you what, I'm getting my money's worth on that palette. I'm gonna put a little bit under my eyes. I haven't gotten more out of the tube. I haven't re-dipped anything. I haven't wiped my finger off. Just going between both eyes with that. And you can wear this alone. You can build it up and it will add saturation in your crease and stuff like that. And I've worn it like that too. It's very, very pretty. You can pretty much get whatever you want out of this. It's just like a liquid pigment, which is really nice. And I'm just cleaning up a little bit there. And my friend, the Divine Rose palette. The first thing that I'm going to do is go in with the brown right here, this really nice brown. And I'm gonna take a flat brush here and I'm gonna go all over my lid with that. Shimmery brown gold. I mean, it's brown, but the glitter in it kind of wants to shift gold. I'm telling myself that. No, it does. That's not entirely my imagination. If you are fair complected with brown eyes, this is a great palette. These colors speak to me in an undertones way. I know I talk about that all the time, but I think that it also has a lot to do with the saturation value or lack thereof on these shades. The shimmeriness really lends itself well to a lot of different coverage levels. So you can wear it really sheared out or you can wear it really, really built up. And so I think that it would, obviously it's a Pat McGrath palette. It'll show up on any skin tone, but there is something to be said sometimes for finding a palette where you can use the colors straight out of the pan if you are really fair skinned, because sometimes palettes will be so saturated, so pigmented that they just get you in trouble. And this one, I mean, look at how that color, I never would have thought I could talk about making brown eyes pop, but it makes brown eyes pop. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was shopping a website this morning. I went on Google Trends and I was like, I want to see what people are talking about in the beauty industry right now, or like on, you know, on Google search. And this brand came up called Seint, S-E-I-N-T Beauty. And I was shopping on their website and I was so excited. And I picked out all this stuff and I loaded my cart up. They had all these great, you know, a great shade range and everything in their foundation and in their contour and stuff. And then as I opened up my cart, at the top it said, you are currently shopping with like Brianna something. And I was like, oh, it was an MLM. It was the brand Mascara, which I guess is an MLM. And they had rebranded as Seint, S-E-I-N-T. And I was like, gosh darn it. Why you gotta ruin everything I love? These were really beautiful, affordable cream products. But I am not about to talk about an MLM on my channel. I was so disappointed. I just want you guys to know, I've always got my eye out, you know? I've always got my ear to the ground, but it ain't easy out here. It's the Wild West. All right, so right now, all I'm really doing is switching back and forth between that iridescent brown and the matte brown right here. The iridescent brown helps it to spread out more evenly, and the matte brown helps to build that believable crease and that nice shape. And I think I'll use a little bit of the iridescent purple up here to blend just a little, just because that's a color that is pretty native to my skin. So it'll go on in a way that's just a mixing medium. But you can see it's kind of blobby at the moment, and it's, you know what I mean? You don't really have a whole lot of focal point to it. And so I'm going to take a pencil brush and go in and kind of redefine the details with the shimmery shade right here. A lot of times I talk about how a palette is meant to be either an everyday palette or a like a companion palette. You know, you either have your staples and you could travel with it and that's, you know, everything that you need, and they tend to be a little bit more boring and a little bit more practical. And then there are the palettes that are, you know, supposed to be fun and they're supposed to be artistic, and they tend to, you know, require that you pull out one of those palettes that has the basics in it in order to make it work. This, I don't think of this at all as a boring essentials palette, but I never have to pull out another palette when I'm working with it. So I know I gush about it, but I'm just being honest. It's like when I saw this meme that said like, wow, you wear that shirt a lot. And it's like, yeah, because I own it. Like, normalize loving one eyeshadow palette. Fabulous. Now, I am going to use the Kosas Brow. I have this in medium chocolate brown, and they sent this to me. This wasn't part of the Sephora haul, but I've been using this all the time. And it's so part of this, you know, warm brown story that I'm trying to tell right now. Because my eyebrows are a little bit cooler tone than this, but I feel like this really complements the look. I never really would have thought about a brow mousse as being something that I needed to watch the temperature on in order to make it work with whatever look, but actually this, it's just, you know, it's something that you might not notice, but I think it helps. All right, eyeliner and mascara, and I'll be right back. I've put the same face of makeup on half a dozen times at this point, and it's still just so fun. It's so fun. I just smile the whole time. So I'm putting a little more kiss of pink. Oopsies, that might have been a little much up there. And I will use a little bit of the Co-Size to break that back up. There we go. And honestly, finally, the thing that inspired this entire color story, the Pat McGrath Faux Real Lust Gloss. This is a little bit more peach than some of the other like nude for me shades that I typically wear. And I got inspired to like make it work, you know? And that is what this look doth sprungeth from. So I'm going to go in with my Kackie lip liner here. This is basically the same look that I had in my haul video. It happened entirely by accident. It's just all the things that I bought. I didn't even put on a highlight. I don't really feel like I need it. And then, see? It's like almost camel colored, like almost like the shirt that I'm wearing. And if something like this, you're wearing a look that is like this and you think this looks really weird, sometimes it is what you're wearing. If I were to wear like a, I don't know, like a really cool toned brown with this, like a gray brown, it would pull all the cool tones out of my eyes and look different. Not necessarily bad, but different and not necessarily like what I was going for. That's why I wear so much white, because I don't have to think about it. I love this lip gloss formula. It's just a classic lip gloss formula, but I like it so much, and I really dig that shade in context. You know, you kind of have to build the context around it. My eyes look enormous, which is what I'm always going for. I can't believe how easy that palette is to work with. And we're just gonna finish it off with some finishing spray. Jury's out on this. I can't figure out whether I like it enough that it would ever replace my Lila B, but this is the Ilia Blue Light Filter. Because it seems to be making my makeup like part on my pores sometimes with certain combinations of products, and I'm not a fan of that. And I don't put that much of it on, that it would, you know, completely soak my face and make things run. Like, it shouldn't be doing that. So anyway, that's the vibe. Let me move you guys out and we will chat not final thoughts, because I want to do individual reviews on these products, but you know, my thoughts on this face of makeup. I'm just gonna gush for a minute. I mean, honestly, this was just shamelessly me feeling myself. And I think that we're all entitled to feeling ourselves with our, like, that's the whole point, right? Is to like put your makeup on and be like, dang, I look good, you know? And this face of makeup, I hate washing it off at the end of the day. I don't know why I couldn't say that sentence. I hate washing it off at the end of the day because it's so pretty, and because of the textures of these products, it's so long wearing. Typically, when I would do something just like really like warm and sun-kissed and whatever, and still maintain some of this like really beautiful dewiness on my skin. By the way, the setting spray has completely dried. This is just the texture of the makeup. Usually that wouldn't wear very long, you know, but this is all of these products are both beautifully performing, beautifully applying beautiful textures on the skin, but also they look almost just as great, you know, 6-8 hours later. And that is why I'm so satisfied with my purchases. I am so glad that I ended up picking up the other two of the bronzers, because I'm going to probably be using the daylights out of these all summer long. I am gravitating back towards the powder blushes as we're getting more cool textures out of powder products, because honestly, they are easier to apply in a lot of cases. And you know what I mean? They're easier to blend and they're longer wearing. But I am moving back towards them in a lot of ways, just because we are getting such innovative textures. And this, again, I fully anticipate panning this. This is such a great contour bronzer combo. Patrick Ta absolutely nailed this. I can't say enough about this freaking foundation from Fenty. 25 shades, beautiful texture on the skin. I love this so much. Even for my dry skin, it's super, super beautiful. Obviously the Pat McGrath palette, you know, I talk about that enough. I am continuing to play with the Always On cream eyeshadows, but I think that they're absolutely beautiful. I think they work really, really well for what they set out to do. And I mean, again, Pat McGrath lip gloss. I am really like loving that I got the other two shades that I bought, because I got this one, and then I actually wore a really, really beautiful like pink look for was it in a video? I can't remember, but the Dare to Bear shade. I got these on sale on her website, but they are such beautiful shades. So I have Divine Rose, Dare to Bear, and Faux Real, and I feel like they just kind of cover the spectrum of all the looks that I would wear. So this is a nice warm nude. This is a good like cool pinky mauve or mauvey pink, and then this is like a true cute sparkly ballerina pink. And I mean, not to say that I'm not going to buy more of them, but I love these right now, and kind of one fits any look that I do. The final thought here is that I feel cute. I feel sexy. You don't need anyone's permission to feel sexy. You don't have to put on makeup to feel sexy, but sometimes you just put on a face of makeup and you're like, damn, I look sexy. So that is where I'm at right now. That's how I feel in this face of makeup, so I just wanted to share with you guys. It's not often that I just do a like, hey, let me show you my makeup thing. Usually it's a review, but like, I just am so pleased. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed just watching me feel myself for a second. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.